Good morning. It's Kirsten Liebelt. How are you? It's Thursday. Sometimes I just really have to push myself to remember what day I'm on. Okay, it's Thursday. Happy Thursday. It's good to see you guys. Come on in. As always, tell me where you are coming in from and tell me if you are on the replay. I always love to know if you guys are on the replay. That's very helpful. And I feel like I have a point of housekeeping today. It'll come to me. It will come to me. Good morning, you guys. Good to see you. Jump on in. Okay, so this is what was on my heart to chat about today. That sounds so dramatic. I don't mean to be that dramatic, but it did. It came to me because so I feel like this is one of the things that I did not take seriously for a really long time. And so let me explain. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Kirsten Liebelt. And basically, you know what? I am from an Italian family. And so there was a lot of obesity and type 2 in my family. And I just didn't know that I could do anything really about that. And so that's kind of the beginning of my journey. My dad died when he was 63. I was only 30 at the time. So my kids, they completely missed out on an Italian grandpa. It's just so sad. They were 6'3" and 6 months old. And my core value that I like to share the most about is that if we can begin to function at a higher level, we can enjoy life more, we can create more memories, and we can have a much more fulfilling experience. I watched my dad have such a low quality of life as it kind of just went down, right? Because if you're constantly having heart surgeries or you're on kidney dialysis or all of the things, and then you're trying to regulate meds and dialysis is making you throw up and all of those things, it's not great, right? So your quality of life isn't good. So I wanted to have a completely different universe. And that's pretty much what I have been able to accomplish. I'm 59. I'm not on any meds, no type 2 in sight, all of those good things. And it's only because this naive person, me, in my 40s, kind of just took a different path, not because I was smart or wise, but because my mother wouldn't leave me alone. But I was raised with just probably like you guys, with, that jar of Crisco in your cupboard, and my mother had Crisco, but she also had butter. So we used butter for most things, obviously Crisco, all of the pie crusts and all of the cookies. But my girlfriend across the street, her mother would buy margarine. And I thought that they were like the cat's meow. I thought, oh my gosh. So I would sneak over to her house because my mother would not, I'm Italian. So there was no way we were going to have a can of SpaghettiOs in my house. And my mother grew up on a farm. And so she's like, oh no, we're eating butter. So I would go over to her house and I would have SpaghettiOs and white bread with margarine. And I thought, oh, you guys, this is very exciting. I mean, honestly, that's how lame it gets, right? You always think the grass is greener on the other side, right? That's usually what we think. So suffice it to say, that's not true. So anyway, so I go and I marry my husband and they are sunflower farmers. Like he's from North Dakota, I'm from Minnesota, and that's what they do. They grow sunflowers. And so Promise Margarine, does anybody remember Promise Margarine? Promise Margarine, maybe they still make it. Unfortunately, maybe they still make it. And so when we got married, he was like, well, my family farms sunflowers, so we're gonna eat Promise Margarine. I'm like, really? That the excitement had long passed. And so for the first year of our marriage, we've been married 37 years this August. It's coming up, 37 years. And for that first year, I ate Promise Margarine. And then I said, I can't do it. And I immediately stopped all margarine and I went back to butter. Now I did everything else wrong. Don't get me wrong. I did a lot of other things that were not very wise, but I did stop the seed oil margarine. But I wanted to talk about that today because I think that the noise gets to be a lot. And I hear this from a lot of people. Oh my gosh, there's so much information. And you know, it's a kind of a new world problem, right? We have so much information at our fingertips. We have so many people talking about so many things on any given day. We can just scroll and just like fill our brains to capacity. And you know, just whatever. Reality check. Thank you so much for the likes. I so appreciate you. We can just like fill ourselves up so much that we actually end up at the end of the day, we're like we have brain fatigue. We're exhausted. And then we just like don't do anything because we're like, what does it matter anyway? Does it really matter? What does it matter? Well, I'm here to tell you that you can tweak your way to a really good, full functioning, good feeling experiential life. You really can. And it doesn't have to be done overnight. I talk about that a lot. I'm not going to go into that right now, but I talk about a lot how I when I was going from my 2X down to my large in my 50s, I did it without shame. I assessed what was going on. I took a few years. I didn't have live video to help me, and I did it without shame because I really wanted to understand like what were my triggers and what all the things, whatever. I won't go into that. But now we have so much information and we don't know where to start sometimes. And my result has been, I wake up in the morning because I turned around my own insulin resistance, because I realized, oh, I can be my own advocate. Oh, I don't have to like follow the matrix. Oh, okay, I can do this differently. So my dad took the path of meds and he got sicker and sicker and sicker. I took the path of supplements and I got better and better and better because I filled in a lot of nutritional deficiencies. That's what I talk about all the time with insulin resistance and the supplements that I started with. Anybody can reach out to me and ask me about that. But one of the things was when I changed out my foods, which I didn't think I could, I realized just how much even better on better levels I felt and how my insulin resistance could just really begin to kind of like just turn into insulin sensitivity. And that feels really good because I wake up in the morning and I don't ache. I literally don't ache. And I'm 59. And doesn't mean like I don't play pickleball and have like, you know, my hip be weird on me. I go to the chiropractor every 2 weeks. I mean, it doesn't mean that, but you know, that aching feeling where you're just, maybe your bones ache, your body aches, I don't know, like all of those things. Like I used to take there's a joint supplement in the line that I rep that just is phenomenal. And I used to take it all the time and I don't anymore. So this is why I talk about things like this, because let's just separate out some of the confusion. Okay. So, you know, you hear about things like, you know, don't do this and don't do this. Oh, and then don't do this and don't do this and blah, blah. And so you just shut up. I can't take in any more information. I'm just going to do whatever, because what does it matter? Let's just do one step at a time. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about seed oils because that actually is, somebody like Maria Emmerich would say that is actually a even stronger drive for type 2 in our nation than sugar. That is a very bold statement, right? That is a very strong statement. Thank you so much, Reality Check, sending me roses. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're awesome. I appreciate you. Happy Thursday, Magda. Good to see you. Very good to see you. Butter is okay, Diane. Eat butter. And here, I'll just kind of, I'm going to read you some stuff here. So one of the first people that I started watching was, you're so sweet. One of the first people that I got a hold of, and I said this yesterday, this is probably what triggered me to do this today. Suzanne Summers. Do y'all remember Suzanne Summers? Unfortunately, she passed away. I think it was this year. Now, I never really knew anything about her until she started talking about hormone stuff, because all I knew was that she was battling breast. See? And so she decided to completely change her own world and like do all of her own study. Isn't that kind of how this goes? That's why I study the stuff I study, because of my dad, type 2, dead at 63, all these meds. Why didn't they help? My mom, dementia, didn't even get type 2 till she was in her 80s. I hear things about insulin resistance of the brain. I'm like, I start to study this stuff because I'm like, okay, hold up. Things that I've been taught aren't true. This one is called Sexy Forever. I have another one of hers. I'm too young for this, where she talks more about hormones. But this is very interesting. So I'm just going to like share this information, and then maybe this will help you to make sense. You're welcome, Diane. So she's talking about trans fats found in partially hydrogenated oils. I think that everybody knows that, right? If you see partially hydrogenated oils, which is in almost literally everything, just become a label reader. Just flip it around. Just flip it around and look for just a second. Okay. Hydrogenated seed oils, margarine, shortening. Remember, I was just talking about that, are the worst types of fats because they are completely unnatural. Less known are the dangers of omega-6 fats, which are found in sunflower, corn, peanut, soybean, cottonseed, among others. So the omega-6s, okay, and then we're not getting enough omega-3, which comes from fish, okay? And if you're taking an omega-3 supplement, can I just say to you, if that is just as bad as the fish that you're buying at the grocery store that's not wild caught and it's high in like stuff, then now you're taking it in a concentrated form. So don't do that. Don't do that. Make sure that your fish oil is wild caught. Okay. Too many omega-6 fats and not enough omega-3 creates a hard membrane around each cell, like an eggshell. Free radicals entering your body can cause the membrane to crack, and now you have a malfunctioning cell. When you reach a point where you have more malfunctioning cells than healthy cells, you will most likely become very ill, possibly with diseases such as C and heart. Along the way, your weight will soar. So there's this connection. There's the connection that all the women want to hear. Along the way, your weight will soar. Okay, so we don't even, because our society, we are a diet society, a gimmick diet society. Count your points, follow this $1,200 a month plan, take a $1,200 a month shot, just intermittent fast. I'm not against that. I'm just saying, calorie deficit only, all of these things for weight loss, and yet nothing's working. And we're still so frustrated. I mean, if you have found the key to your insulin resistance and weight loss, you're not on my content because you figured it out. You cracked a code somewhere, right? And then we were just told to just work our booties off in the gym. And we didn't even realize that that was having negative effects too, like raising our cortisol, which is another hormone, just like insulin. So along the way, your weight will soar. A simple step such as changing the oils you consume can positively impact the health of your cells. There is no drug that can do that. Okay, so do you understand? There's no med that you can take that will impact the health of your cells. You have to do it from the inside out. You have to get your body to function at a higher level from the inside out. And simple steps, nothing overly crazy pants. Like, I have come a long way in my 50s. I started at shy of 51, trading out my ingredients, not knowing what I was doing, tweaked because I still was just eating too much starch. I still just was spiking my sugars too much. And I wasn't having a lot of the results that I wanted. But it took me time of tweaking and putting resources in place. That's why so there's the Facebook group is Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. I have to speak more slowly. And that group, I started 13 months ago. I do a challenge in there every month at the beginning of the month so that I can help resource you and educate you and like just to get you to be able to have victory for that 1 month. And then we'll take another month and then we'll take another month and then and now I have all these amazing testimonies of people who what they've been, on the trio of supplements and going at it now for 6 months, and their fasting insulin is like from a 24 down to a 8.7 and they're moving in the right direction. All of those things, right? Losing weight, blood, morning sugars coming down, all of those things. But it's because you don't have to do it all at once. Don't be overwhelmed. Don't be overwhelmed, because if you are overwhelmed, you'll stop. You'll stop and you'll self-sabotage because you'll just say it's too hard. It's too much. Okay. Don't do that. Does she say anything else in here? She says, I think Sally Fallon, that I think this is of noteworthiness, in her book, Nourishing Traditions, I've never read it, says it best. During the 60-year period from 1910 to 1970, the proportion of traditional animal fat in an American diet declined from 83% to 62%, and butter consumption plummeted from 18 pounds per person per year to 4. During the past 80 years, dietary cholesterol, cholesterol is, animal products, right? Dietary cholesterol intake has increased only 1%. However, the same period, the percentage of dietary vegetable oils in the form of margarine, shortening, and refined oils increased about 400%. 400%, while the consumption of sugar and processed foods increased about 60%. Americans are dying of heart disease from sugar, processed foods, bad oils, margarine, shortening, and refined foods. We are getting fatter and fatter eating all this poor quality food. So that's the Suzanne Summers piece of the puzzle here. And there is this correlation that we have not made. And so what happens is, most every restaurant is going to cook in seed oils. McDonald's used to make their fries in lard, and they don't anymore, right? Because we've been told that that's bad for us, that dietary cholesterol leads to high cholesterol cardiovascular. And that's actually not true. That's not how this works. However, that's been what we've been told, so that we have to get it down with an MED, with a script. And the issue with that is, and that's a whole nother live, and we can do another live on that if you want to. That's why people get put on STATINSs, and that is causing a whole host of issues when it comes to cognitive function and like sadness. Oftentimes somebody who's put on an STATIN is also put on an anti-sadness script, because you're taking down what your hormones need the most, which is cholesterol. So that's a side note. But this is very, very interesting. So now when in talking about like Maria Emmerich, I love this because she's talking about in 1909, the most commonly used fat was butter. Lard came in second. As you can see, she has a chart. Starting in the 1950s, both butter and lard saw huge drops in consumption. And I think that it's just because of the war, the Second World War. So we had a hiccup in supply, whatever, right? So the 1960s and 1970s saw the introduction of vegetable and seed oils. Oh, the Facebook group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. And if you go to my site, my first last name, kirstenliebelt.com, it's only one page, super simple. You can find the trio on there. You can find the wild caught fish, omega. You can find, hi, Deborah, good to see you. But you can scroll down and you can find a Facebook blue button that you can click on. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. 1960s. Okay. The introduction. So this hasn't been that long, you guys. It hasn't even been 100 years. Just think about this for a second. Put history into check. If you change something in history, if you change something in society, that's my sentence. If you change something in society and society gets fatter, sicker, and more medicated, I mean, if you look over an entire timeline of a society, let's say the Roman Empire, just making that up, but I'm just saying, and let's say you studied something that they ate and it changed their society so drastically that it's now in the history books. I think this is in our history books. I mean, we're only in 1920s, or we're only in 2020s. We're not, and it started in the 1960s. That's 80 years ago. And what did we do to our society? We tanked it. Absolutely tanked our health. Just saying, like, I think of these things and I'm just like, oh my gosh. particularly soybean oil. And it's in freaking everything. Look at every single product you buy. Can you get away from it with restaurants? Probably not. But there are other things you can do to mitigate some of that. I mean, I know that I'm eating a seed oil if I go to a restaurant and I have a really amazing burger. Chances that they have fried that in seed oil or whatever, but I don't generally buy fried foods from other places. I don't, whatever. Just because everything is breaded, and I don't do breading because I'm grain and sugar free. But I'm just saying, like, but no matter what, I'm still not getting away from it. So don't think you have to have perfection. You just have to have progression. In 2009, hold on, I'm almost done with that one. By 2009, seed oils were by far the most commonly used fats, followed by vegetable shortening, then butter, then lard. Butter and lard had moved to the bottom of the list. Today, Americans have an average, this is the inflammation conversation. Today, Americans have an average omega-3 fish, good oil, to omega-6 ratio of 1, whatever. She's giving ratios. She says that means that we are getting, as Americans, 14 to 25 times as much omega-6 as omega-3. That is staggering. That is really, really not okay. We do not want 14 to 25 times as much omega-6 as omega-3. That's why our inflammation is like off the charts. Just poo to the moon, inflammation everywhere. And she says the healthcare industry, this is Maria Emmerich now, the healthcare industry just followed the guidance given to them by the AMA and the FDA, which was flawed and heavily influenced by political and corporate interests. For decades, doctors and other healthcare providers recommended vegetable oils and low-fat diets and healthy whole grains. When medical professionals recommend this healthier way of eating to their patients, many of those patients get sicker. Instead of blaming their recommendations, doctors instead blamed the patients. I think a lot of you experience this because you talked to me about it in my inbox. They blamed the patients and assumed that their patients weren't following the guidelines or that the patients were genetically damaged. In other words, bad genes made them gain weight. These assumptions led to the idea that medicines that cover the symptoms were the only course of action available. Y'all, I get fired up. I just get so fired up about that stuff because it's really frustrating because we're just being told, listen. Oh, that's a good question, Mary. Is it possible to test how much omega-6 is in your system? I don't think so. If somebody knows that, you can tell me. I don't think so. I mean, I haven't heard of that. But that's a really good question. Did your fasting glucose drop now? Oh, that's a story. Lake Life, that's a story. All right. Do you want a little bit of a story? So when I was in my 20s and I was gestational diabetic, I had to take my blood 4 times a day. And then when I delivered my baby, they're like, oh, you delivered your diabetes and you're fine to go. And then my second baby, I was hypoglycemic, passing out in the shower. And nobody then ever talked to me about anything about insulin. I've never even heard the terminology, nothing. Even though my dad was type 2, even though he died when I was 30, he was only 63, insulin dependent, all of that. Spent my entire 30s feeding my family. I thought I was doing good because I was cooking from scratch, feeding my family everything white, blah, 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 blah. I get into my 40s and my mom doesn't leave me alone about my sugars, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to be really honest. I was way too scared to go to the doctor. So instead, what I was doing was, because I watched my dad, I knew that my dad wore shorts a lot when he wasn't at work because of the sores on his legs. Because when you're type 2, like he was, it wasn't healing. And he was getting all of the skin discoloration, etc. And so I was too scared to go to the doctor and have things checked for that reason. But that was my mom. Kirsten, seriously, do you even go to the doctor? Kirsten, seriously, do you ever have your sugars checked? Like, do you even know what they are? Like, kind of a little bit of what is wrong with you. And when comments get like, whatever, TikTok does weird things with comments, just to let you know. And I'm like, yeah. Cause she could see my weight gain. Right. So I did not, back then, you did not just, when you were not type 2, you didn't just go get a glucose meter back then, as if that's so long ago. Back in the day. Okay, it was over 10 years ago, but still, you didn't just go and get a glucose meter. That wasn't a part of the plan. And so I was not testing my sugars in my 40s. I wasn't, but I had severe brain fog and I was completely exhausted all the time. I was hangry. I was so addicted to sugar. I was chasing carbs all the time. I was waking up. I wasn't sleeping well. I had all of the signs, but nobody ever told me what the signs were. And I wasn't, again, there was no video like this. Nobody was creating reels about the top 10 signs of insulin resistance. That didn't exist. So instead, what I did was I had a conversation with myself, Kirsten. You should probably do something about your sugars. And if I was to have known the terminology insulin resistance, I would have said that, but I didn't. Yep. And perimenopause changes it too. It really, really does. And so, because it's all hormonal, this is a hormonal conversation. Insulin is a hormone. Cortisol is a hormone. Perimenopause is about hormones. Losing weight is about hormones. It's all about hormones. And so I basically was like, so I'm Italian and I'm really not ready to change out my foods. And so I didn't. Instead, I started with supplementation, and that's why I still talk about it to this day. And that's the number one thing that I share with women is I talk about the trio, the 3 supplements that have the 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. And so the testimonies that I have are not me testing my blood because I completely avoided type 2. I'm the only one in my family, the only one of 5. That's not the conversation, even as far as it would go in terms of my Italian family. It's not for me to tell their story, but I do know that there is a lot of obesity and type 2 in my Italian family. I grew up this way. This was my life. Eat, come on, eat. It's like you show respect to eat and tell them how amazing their food is, right? Like that's what you do. And so now the testimonies that I have, and everybody can see them. You could take 5 minutes today. 5 minutes is all it would take you to go over to my IG, Kirsten Liebelt. It's the same everywhere. I'm the same everywhere except for on my personal Facebook page, because that I've got my Italian name in there, Fragali, Kirsten Fragali Liebelt. But you can go over to my IG, and at the top there's this pink highlight bubble. And all of I'm dropping testimonies in there. I put them into my stories and I drop them into the bubble. And those are the people, the wonderful, marvelous, amazing people who text me. My morning sugars went from the 180s down to the 150s, and I lost 14 pounds. Those are the testimonies that I get, because that is the conversation that nobody else is having. I don't mean nobody else other than me. That would be ridiculous. In general, in our society, nobody's really talking about this. If you think you are insulin resistant in any way, shape, or form, if you have slid into your 40s and you cannot lose weight, consider the fact that you're one of the 75% of the entire population who is now, after 80 years of doing certain things, insulin resistant. What does that mean to you? That means that if your insulin or your sugars are high, you can't lose weight. So you're running on a wheel and you're wondering why counting points doesn't work anymore, or all of these other things that I just mentioned in the live earlier, why they're not working for you anymore. And you're like, this is frustrating. Or just like it was saying, like Maria was saying in her book, you go to the doctor and they just assume that you're just not following the guidelines, whatever guidelines they gave you. Like, really, honey? Really? Doesn't sound like you're following the guidelines. Doesn't sound like you're following the plan. And you're like, I'm following the plan. But it's because the plan is faulty. Thank you for the follow, Lake Life. Oh, you're awesome. Right back at you. So your sugars are about 110 in the morning and you need help to drop a bit more. I would love to help you, because this is when I started supplementation, you guys, sugar addict. I had no idea. I didn't know it was going to help me with my sugar cravings or my appetite. I didn't know I didn't know what it was doing to my engine, so to speak. I didn't understand how it was helping the inside. Somebody texted me this morning and they said, can you explain to me the difference between this, what you're talking about, and this, what she has seen somewhere else? And I said, yeah, I totally can. It's very much like taking, and I'll show them to you. 3 supplements. They're not even sold in a bundle. 3 supplements, and you can see them on my site, or you can text me, or you can whatever. I have to be careful about saying that. I haven't had any flags or violations on Tickety Talk since the end of May. So, because you can't give out personal stuff. So on Tickety Talk up here on my click on my face and then it'll come up again. You can go to my page and there is a way to type things to me on here. And that's a really great way to get a hold of me. But my contact information is everywhere. I am not hard to get a hold of. Messenger, inbox, using your phone, it's not hard. But anyway, so I gave her this example, so I'll give it to you right now. So they're small. I like to show how small they are. Okay. One of them you take 3 times a day. The other 2 you take twice a day. Whoopsie. And this is where all the testimonies are coming from. And then, yes, there are other layers that can be had. This is not all that I do now, just because I went on my own journey. And my own journey meant that I traded out little pieces of my pantry, built myself kind of a customized supplement routine, and, went from a 2X down to a large. Okay. If you have power steering in your vehicle, which pretty much everybody does, right? So you know what that feels like, and maybe you don't, but I do. When your power steering fluid goes out and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you just can't quite get it. That is kind of what it's like to deal with yourself. My mom is, oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. I'll talk about that in just a second. So, when you are able to actually fill in nutritional deficiencies that you maybe didn't even know that you had, you can actually change the way that your body is functioning. So you can target your insulin, your sugars, your liver, your visceral belly fat. And all of a sudden, your body shifts into a different gear. All of a sudden, steering is easier. Most people don't even know that your liver is your fat metabolizing organ. And if your liver is tired and toxic from over-the-counter meds or scripts, or maybe you've had surgery, maybe you've had anesthesia, it takes a long time for your body to clear that. Love your liver. That's a part of the trio. Anyway, and as far as my mom, you're so sweet. So my mom, she actually ended up getting type 2 in her 80s, which tells you this is not genetic. Are there genetic components? Okay, sure, blah, blah, blah. In my opinion, sure, you can have a disposition. But the truth is that what's genetic is the way that we're eating culturally from generation to generation. That's what's genetic, in my opinion. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. But we pass on how we eat. And so the fact that my mom got it in her 80s, right? So she actually then, I'm sure that she was very happy that at the time, but she then got dementia, insulin resistance of the brain, because she had been insulin resistant for years. I look back now, I think about this stuff now all the time. I think she was 65 when my dad died. She hits retirement age and her husband's gone. Yay, we get to retire, not together. This is why my core value is a higher functioning life. What does it matter if you think that you've got all this time in the world, and let's just pretend you do have all the time in the world, but you're sick all the time, or you just feel like crap all the time, and it's not over a terminal diagnosis. And the one thing that I was going to talk about that's in my subject line that I haven't even mentioned yet, this is so funny. Yep, type 3, they say, is dementia. That's right. So we took care of her for 5 years. And that was hard. Dementia's hard. 10 out of 10 do not recommend. 10 out of 10. Do not recommend. So I just refuse to. That's not going to be my life. And a big piece of this is keeping insulin resistance in check and whatever, air quality, all of those things. That was my housekeeping. And saying it now probably doesn't matter. However, we did a webinar on air quality the other night, and it didn't work out. So I have an encore presentation. If anybody needs that, just let me know. That's very random, I know. But talking about omega-6s, like we were talking about, the summary of this says seed oils can cause problems because they are high in omega-6 fatty acids that lead to inflammation. They can create harmful free radicals, and they interfere. Please hear this. This is where I should have started. I apologize. They can interfere with the signals your body uses to manage blood sugar. All of these factors can contribute to insulin resistance. Hi, it's so nice to meet you. So she says, hi, my name is Marcia. I follow a few of experts. I'm getting the knowledge and follow, and then my emotional eating kicks in. Who can resonate with that? Your daughter's a caregiver for dementia patients. God bless her. So Marcia, really, really nice to meet you. And then let me just share with you, I talk about it kind of a lot, so it's good. I'm so glad that you brought that up. Get into the Facebook group. Ditch insulin resistance for women. Just trust me. You can always, leave if you don't want to be there. But when you get in there, you'll get tagged eventually. There's a lot of people getting in, so you have to be patient. You'll get tagged in a recipe PDF that has some pantry ideas, etc. I teach grain-free, sugar-free, so that you can fix what got you into the pickle to begin with. But when I do, like, for instance, my challenges every month, I do talk about that because you're right. And I very much connect with what you're saying. Being Italian, we ate for pretty much every other reason other than we were hungry. And my sister and I used to joke about that a lot. We would say things like, somebody would say, oh yeah, no, like pretend we're like out somewhere, or and somebody says, no, thank you, I'm full. And we'd be like, oh, what does that have to do with anything? Because hunger was never the conversation. You ate because you were celebrating. You ate because you were mourning. You ate because you just did, because it was Sunday afternoon and dad made spaghetti, or, you just did. And so that was, I feel like there's a part of me that's really grateful that I didn't have when I started this over 10 years ago. I feel like I'm glad that I didn't have all of the video that you guys have, even though I understand, I come on because I know it's a benefit to people now, but it forced me to deal with the emotional connections to food for myself. And because otherwise I think maybe I would have overwhelmed myself with information. So don't do that. That's why I kind of warn against that a little bit. Get streamlined in your thought process. But I actually spent about 3 years with carb blocker in my pockets. So I started shy of 51, changing out my ingredients. And I just made the decision. I am going to allow myself a journey. I'm going to gift myself some time. I'm not going to, because you have so many different things that people have either said to you in your childhood, or they have looked at you a certain way, like maybe with disappointment about your weight, that look like poor you, whatever, right? Like, I understand all of these pieces. So I decided I wasn't going to give a crap anymore about what other people had said to me. And I wasn't going to let myself be held back, because now this is, whatever. So one of the, okay, so this is the trio, the 3 supplements that have the 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. All of the testimonies are over on my IG in a pink highlight bubble. And they're great. They're amazing because it's data, and data doesn't lie. And I love it. However, a lot of people will add the carb blocker to their order because it'll block up to 500 calories of sugars from hitting your bloodstream. So it caps the sugar spike, right? And again, I was so not a supplementing person. I thought supplementing was ibuprofen. I really this was not my world at all. But I want to be able to journey and ask myself kind of questions. I did ask myself questions, but I don't think that I was mindful enough to think I'm going to ask myself questions. It's just what I did. But I wanted to be able to navigate social interactions is really the core of it. I wanted to navigate my social interactions and not be so hard on myself, not put myself down for, like, I don't like that terminology, cheating, or, because seriously, you can go to bed, wake up in the morning, and immediately the first thing that's in your mind is, oh, you did such a crappy job yesterday with your eating. Am I the only one? Right? And if that's your first thought, then you just know you have to continue to work through this. Okay, so I'm in a social situation. I've got carb blockers in my pockets because I'm not going to shame myself in this moment. This is now where I'm really coming from. Like, it's the whole shame thing. And you're 68, up and down 30 pounds over the years, low carb, intermittent fasting. Now you need 50 off. Retirement has added to this. You self-sabotage and restart every few months. I would love to help you. I really would. Because the truth is that, number one, if you do not get your sugars and your insulin down, and that's where the trio comes in to help you, it's going to be hard to lose weight. And number two, low carb can mean about a bazillion things. Many, many different definitions of low carb. That's why I'm very specific to teach grain-free, grain-free, sugar-free, so that, because you have to tweak what we sometimes, and it may not be you at all, for real, what we think sometimes is low carb or tweaked enough, according to maybe a guideline that we got at a doctor's office or whatever, and maybe they're saying 50 grams or less a day. I'm tamping it down further and teaching a much higher priority on protein, etc. Similar to like what Maria Emmerich would teach, right? Because people have to actually get results. Anyway, having said that, hello, Sherry, good to see you. And yes, social events are tough. You don't want to eat before and you don't know how to prep the food. Yeah. So, and sometimes I share that on my lives too, because my only course of action in that moment, I hadn't even gotten to the point yet in my journey where I had started to like think about having foods, fireworks on Instagram, where I started thinking about, having certain foods, with me or on me or whatever. I hadn't even gotten to that point yet. So my only course of action in that moment was throw some carb blockers in my pockets. And I'm just going to see how this goes, kind of like, if I feel like there's no way I'm going to say no to that wedding cake, or I'm not going to say no to whatever it is, I'm just going to use carb blockers, and then I'm going to stop the shame in its tracks. Okay. I'm going to stop the shame. That's what this was about for me. Even though it blocks up to 500 calories of sugar from entering your bloodstream, blah, 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 it stops the spike and it, mitigates the cycle. And no, I'm going to stop the shame. Do you understand? Like, I had a physical thing happening, but for me, it was more about dealing with my mind. And so, and I did that. And for about, I would say, a good solid 3 years. And again, I didn't have video. I didn't have anything to help me mitigate that. And so, I mean, whatever. And so like, I would find carb blocker in my winter coat pockets when I would take my coats out in October in Minnesota from storage, or from the back of the closet. I'd be like, oh my God, there's some carb blocker again. I mean, that was just my life. So, but it was a very valuable, very, very valuable. You have to allow yourself a journey. You have to gift yourself some grace. Because if you do not fix, just like what you're saying, 30 pounds up and down, now you have 50 to lose. And, and you keep on self-sabotaging and restarting and restarting. Okay, so what if you actually had a track to run on? What if you actually had a completely different environment to do this in? And I say that because it can feel super frustrating to decide that you're going to start a program or a thought process or whatever and not have the support and or the encouragement that you need, right? So the whole idea when I started doing challenges, I started the Facebook group 13 months ago. June is actually my June is my 1-year anniversary. And it has just been amazing this last year in the Facebook group, Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. It's been a great journey. And in fact, all orders this month in the month of June, they're going into a hat, and I'm giving away sets of the trio. Because we're going to party. We're going to celebrate. And but I do a challenge every single month at the beginning of the month. The challenge is designed, it's a 5-day challenge, and it's designed to help you to understand why things are happening the way that they're happening, give you ingredient trade outs and how to kind of view that and see that. I bring you into my pantry and my refrigerator and then teach you a recipe, all of that stuff. And we do this every single month. And the idea is that if you can chunk out your universe, it's a much better result instead of relying on yourself to not have a self-sabotaging moment. It doesn't mean that I didn't have self-sabotaging moments in between. Of course I did. That's the whole point. That was the journey. Like, wouldn't it be great if we never did that? But that's not the way this goes, because overcoming your mindset is one of the harder pieces of the puzzle. Okay. So having said that, at the beginning of the month, having something like a track to run on, and then you can take down that month. That month can be like, you can have victory in that month. Then the next month we'll do it again, take down that month. Then the next month we'll do it again, take down that month. Then the next month we'll do it again, take down that month. Does that make sense? And so that is the best way that I can help people. It's called The Compound Effect. There's a good book called that, The Slight Edge. That's a good book. What to Say When You Think to Yourself. That's a good book. The Compound Effect and The Slight Edge are about how you just you keep on building on top of each other, and for me, it's like 1 month at a time, 1 month at a time, 1 month at a time. And then you'll be in a different place by the end of 2024. And that's why I keep telling people, take 5 minutes, go over to IG, Kirsten Liebelt, pink highlight bubble, all of the testimonies. There's a partial testimony reel on my site, my first last name.com, button number 2. The trio's there, and there's a partial reel of some of the testimonies, but there's just more because I put that reel up there a couple months ago. There's more now. There's a lot more. And so it's just, that's the way that this goes. But I so resonate with that. So you're 60, no, let me see what else. Because I think I missed something. Maybe I didn't. But that whole self-sabotage, that whole dealing with your emotional eating, it's absolutely doable. And I didn't use a therapist. I didn't use nothing. That's not true. There's a really good book out there called Self-Sabotage No More by Jenny Potter. That's a really good book. If you want that for a recommendation, dealing with basically things that happened to you when you were a child, and they don't have to be traumatic at all. Maybe things that were said to you. Remember, I just mentioned the disappointing looks or whatever, messages that you were given growing up, and releasing emotions around those. That's kind of what her book is. So I did end up using that. However, that wasn't, I want my timeline to be correct for you guys. That actually wasn't how I got through the food emotional piece. But when I did read her book, it made sense to me that was the process that I went through. I allowed myself to feel what I was going to feel about maybe a message that was given to me or something that had been said to me about my weight, or said to me about my inability to lose weight or whatever, I allowed myself to feel that and then kind of release that and say, that's not my story anymore. So that's kind of the whole piece to that. Anyway, you guys get me on all sorts of stories. You can relate so much, Cindy. Yeah, I know. It took me a long time to talk about all this. It really did. When I first got online, I started talking about hormones, a broader conversation of hormones. And then I narrowed it down to one hormone, insulin. And that's when the overwhelming response from you came. And I knew, okay, we need to go down this hole, so to speak, this path. I have to be able to share, because I feel like there's a lot of lack of information, a lot of misinformation. And then from the matrix, we're only offered scripts. So for anybody that, if you are looking to become your own advocate, you really, really want to take control of your own body, and you know that maybe the advice or information that you've been given has not been helping you, or you're not liking side effects of something. I am not a doctor. I would never tell anybody to get off of anything, but I sure do love the testimonies that come where people are. I love them. I just would never make any claims. But I will tell you, if you want a very clear path to just jump on, a track to run on just a little bit, whatever pace you choose, highly recommend. I'm a very narrow conversationalist. I have one conversation. It's just 500 hours long. And the conversation is, start getting your body to function at a different level from the inside out. Start working with your nutritional deficiencies, because it will change the way that your body is functioning. This is where to start. Okay. Then, and that's the trio, 3 supplements that have the 3 ingredients that help with insulin resistance. You can start with that. We did talk about, for real, like a piece of weight loss, actually, and I didn't even look it up. I won't do that because I don't want to keep you too much longer here. Properly taking omega-3 actually helps with weight loss, because it's helping with inflammation. And I have an advanced omega that you can look at on my site too. However, start with getting, do something to the inside of your engine. Let's get your engine going. Jump into the group. The next challenge starts Monday, July 8th. I'll do it for 5 days. Let's get you resourced. Let's get you encouraged. Here you are in the middle of the summer. Maybe nobody else is doing this, but maybe you could find a friend to do it with. Find a buddy. Do it with a buddy. Get going on your supplementation. Start with the discipline and the routine of a daily supplementation. Start adding in different daily disciplines. You change out one ingredient at a time. You change out one recipe at a time. Pretty soon you have a repertoire. Pretty soon you have a better understanding. And I've had somebody, I'm trying to remember how many times she's done my challenges now. They're free and they're in the group. 6 times maybe. Because guess what? The repetition is the mother of all skill. We have to hear things over and over and over again for us to be able to translate them and execute them. It takes time. Be okay with it taking time. And guess what? 6-month guarantee on all products. 6 months. You guys, nobody's doing 6 months. I kind of chuckle when I hear somebody say, we have a 30-day money back guarantee. And I'm like, well, what the heck are you going to be able to figure out in 30 days? How about 6 months? How about you go for 5 months and you just chunk it out for 5 months? Be disciplined, have a routine. And then you know that there's a 6-month guarantee. Like, you can get a lot done in 5 months. I'm just saying. And that's bringing us close to the end of the year. So what if you had a plan in place before sugar season started, October 31st? The one that doesn't end till Easter. Because that was me. You just go from one marketing aisle of Walmart to the next marketing aisle of Walmart. Because you know that that's what they're going to do. It's going to be a wall of candy for every single holiday, all the way through Easter. And if you're a candy person, that's me. then you're just like, woo-hoo. I remember having the thought in my head, how will I ever not care about the candy seasons? How will I ever not care about that? Maybe that's not you. You might be a salty person, but that's okay. So anyway, but my point being that you can have a track to run on, you can have a plan. I will help you. I am the difference in your back pocket. That might sound strange, but it's the only way I know that I can help people. Tell you exactly what I did and then help you with your mindset a little bit. Oh, Jacqueline. Repetition, definitely the key. Jacqueline, I'm going to show that up there. Have you done 6 challenges, Jacqueline? Anna, good to see you. You guys are awesome. Ruth says, truth. I even remember Weight Watchers saying, weight struggles always started at Halloween. They do. 6, yes. You're like a star. You're a star, whatever. Anybody who can take any kind of coaching, like any kind of direction, that's amazing. That's how you get results, right? That's how you get results. But it starts at Halloween. And I know I'm speaking things that make sense in your brain. I know y'all are going, oh, that's me too. Yeah. So I get it. But anyway, so if you need the trio, please, I am not hard to find. Don't self-sabotage yourself all the way to not reaching out to me. Don't do that. Okay? You not reaching out when it's in your heart right now to reach out and you don't, that's self-sabotage. I'm just going to say what it is because I know it really, really well. Marsha's open for a challenge. Woohoo! That's awesome. So Marsha, if you want some information, oopsie, sorry. I have to hide that. How do I hide that now? There we go. Marsha, you're just adorable. Do you want me to send you, if you want me to send you a cart that has the trio already in it, just put cart in the comments on Facebook because it'll stay there. It won't stay there on TikTok and Instagram. Sorry. You guys have to jump into my inbox. But if you want me to send you a cart and then we can get you into the Facebook group and get you going. But I'm excited for July because while other people, maybe they're not going to pay attention to all of this, you can. So inbox on Instagram, Tickety Talk, jump over to IG or look on my page up here and my face will come up again. And then there is a numbers that you can type and talk to me about. Ready to do July challenge. Just ordered the trio yesterday. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Now, do you say your name? I'm going to ask, is it Lygia or is it Ligia? Ligia? Tell me for phonetic. How would I say that? That's a very beautiful name. And did you check out as a guest? Because I don't remember seeing your name. And I like to know, I want people to be able to, I want to be able to send you a thank you, etc. So check out, register with your name. I'm going to give you housekeeping right now. Register with your name. There is a box for perks. Check the box. It's how you get points for your products. Then you can get cash off of future orders. If you set up a flex ship, you'll get double points, which is double cash. And that is called a Ditto, Ditto. It is literally the most customized thing I've ever seen. It's the most customized. I've never seen anything like it. Every single product, not just cart, every single product. I did think you did check out as a guest. Okay. Diana K, you want to order? Okay, perfect. Well, I'll make sure everybody gets information on Facebook here. I'll make sure. What was I going to say? Well, you know how sometimes you set up flex ships with different companies and it's really, you're either going to do the whole cart or you're not going to do the whole cart. You can literally customize every single product. So if the trio is something you're going to order every single month, because the entire line, there's a lot of different products. There's like over 350 products. So sometimes people are saying, well, but I also want non-toxic cleaning, let's just say, but I only need that every 4 months or every 6 months or whatever. You can customize every single product and get double points, double cash. I mean, honestly, it's very, very beneficial. And you know what? We're just not getting certain things when we go to other, like, if we go to wholesale places to buy our household things, or, like, I love my skincare, all that stuff. I was talking about that on my stories this morning. Like, treat yourself, take all of your points, gather up all your points, get them doubled on your on your flex ship. Okay. Double up your points, rack them up, and then use them on yourself for self-care. I don't think I've ever had this conversation on a live. I usually do it in my stories, because when you take your points and you use them and you cash them in, you're placing a separate order. Well, get yourself a serum. Get yourself something that makes you feel pretty. Get yourself something that's rewarding you for intermittent rewards as you are on your journey. It is a success principle that you reward yourself, that you celebrate your wins, that you stop being so negative in your brain. You have to stop putting yourself down, and you have to flip it and start celebrating anything and everything, because then you will go towards doing more and more to get celebrated more and more. Does that make sense? Hold on, I need to see. Okay, Jacqueline, you're so adorable. How do you join? I'm in Canada. Is that an issue? No, it's not, Marcia. I am getting more and more Canadian customers every day. It's really crazy. So I appreciate that a lot. I have a Canadian link on my site. If you go to kirstenliebelt.com, the trio, all of everything, all of the supplements, there's a Canadian link that you can get into and use that. Joining, as far as the group goes, Facebook group, totally free. Jump in, you'll get a free PDF, you'll get free, it's got recipes and pantry ideas. You'll get tagged in that when you get in there at some point. And it's called Ditch Insulin Resistance for Women. And if you don't remember that, that's okay. Go to kirstenliebelt.com, scroll down, Facebook blue button right in your face. Click on that and get into the group. Challenge is free. I do it every month. So you get a free recipe PDF, you get a free challenge. You can reach out to me anytime. I'm kind of in your back pocket a little bit here, if you know what I mean. So Jacqueline, you're so fun. Okay, so she says she's earned double points for her Trio Ditto orders, and she's used a $20 reward and tried the probiotics this month. It was a great way to try new helpful products. That is fantastic. Yes, that's exactly what you do. You're following me on Facebook. Yay, Marcia. That's awesome. Did you get, Jacqueline, I would love to know, did you get the probiotic sticks, or did you get the stress relief probiotic? I would love to know that. I would love to know that. I think I missed something over there. It doesn't move for me. You enjoyed the June challenge, Brenda. That was your first one. That's awesome. I hope you're available in July. And if you're not, there are replays, right? You wonder if you check the box. You will know, Brenda. Go into your account and it will tell you how many points you have on your account if you check the box. And if you didn't, y'all, reach out to me. I'll get you their number. I will like get you their number. You call. They are amazing. They can help people set up auto ships, flex ships. They can help people with their points. They are a really good customer service. The sticks, and you like the taste. Okay, that's really funny. I know people think I'm very strange that way, maybe, but I love the taste of the sticks. It's I don't know. It's a prebiotic and 5 strains of a probiotic. Really effective probiotic. It's these little sticks, and I feel like they kind of taste like, I don't know. It's something in my childhood. It's not a sweet, it's not a fruit, nothing like that. It's supposed to be unflavored, but there's still a flavor to it that I really love. I don't know. Don't mind me. You can sprinkle it on cold food, or you can put it in cold water. Did I miss something else? Hold on. Oh, Brenda, she says that I froze. that happens sometimes. Anyway, you guys are so much fun. So I hope to see everybody in July. I really do. Kind of like vanilla wafers, kind of like that. And you know what? It's not a vanilla taste necessarily, but there's something to that. You put it straight on your tongue and drink water. I know. You're like me. I'm the same way. That's so funny. I'm going to put your thing up there though. So anyway, okay. So Carl, this is so much fun, you guys. I'm back. Yay, Brenda, I'm back. So if you need anything, always reach out because I can get you their phone number. We can get anything figured out. And I just really do, like, I want you to function at a higher level, but I also want you to be able to learn how to celebrate you and your wins. This is something that came hard to me, but I've had to do it. And it has really transformed not only my weight loss journey, going from a 2X down to a large, because it kept me more on task of celebrating and less on task of sabotaging. But it has also helped me in my business, in building this online business that I do. It has really helped me because I needed to celebrate my wins. It's the same thing, whether you're talking about weight loss or building a business. It's the same thing. Oh, balloons on Instagram. It's all success principles, right? That's all that it is. And so no matter what area of your life you're looking to transform or transition or shift, learn how to celebrate yourself, learn how to have intermittent rewards for your successes and to really enjoy them. Okay. So that's, I want to be able to teach that to anybody that's on my team as well. Learn how to celebrate your wins and enjoy your journey because it changes something in your brain. It changes something. So change my weight and my online business. Go figure. Oh, what is my website? You tried Kirsten Liebelt. Oh, it's not Kristen. It's Kirsten. So K-I-R. Thank you for asking, Marcia. K-I-R. I should spell my name. People don't know. K-I-R-S-T-E-N. And then my last name is Liebelt. L-I-E. B as in boy, E-L-T.com. Okay. Yeah. That's awesome. I have to see which one. There we go. Okay. So any questions or are we good for today? I'll be back again tomorrow. I'm going to just start saying now between 10 and 10:10 Central Standard Time. Because then what happens is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's just setup. There's just stuff. And last night we did an air treatment webinar. And so my stuff was set up differently. That's all. Just stuff. But if there are questions, okay. Yep. Somebody else is messaging me on that. So if you have any questions, let me know on Facebook. You are blessed and highly favored because you can leave me messages and I will see them after this has been posted. Instagram, you are blessed and highly favored because you can go to the top of my IG page and you can see the pink highlight bubble. And that has all the testimonies in it. So everybody else pay attention to what IG has. Go jump over there just to see the testimonies. You can jump right back again, but that's a great way to see all of the testimonies of the trio. Sugar's coming down, that dawn phenomenon, weight being lost, people are like their sugar cravings, calming about food noise, all of those things. That's what that's all about. And that's very, very helpful as you're taking yourself on your own journey. And TikTok, you are blessed and highly favored because you guys have an FYP. And so I could be a total stranger to you today. And you're just like, I've never seen your face before, but this is super interesting. I'll tell you, you can jump over to IG if you want to see testimonies or go to my firstlastname.com, find that Facebook blue button, jump into the Facebook group. I think I still have a button up there for some free summer salads. Grab the free summer salads, grab everything free that you can grab. Okay. Get yourself encouraged, get yourself resourced. And let's do this journey right now. And I'm going to jump off and I'm going to actually go and I'm going to get information to people who need that because I want to make sure I get you what you need right away. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do. And then, I look forward to hearing hearing you guys and your questions as I go through my day now. So, all right. See you later. Have a wonderful day. And I will see you tomorrow. All right. See you later, TikTok. And Facebook, you're the last people. All right. Again, you can drop Trio. You could drop, if you need the Omega, you could drop Omega and I'll get you a link to that. You could drop whatever you need because again, those comments stay with the live and that is very helpful. So, all right, you have a super blessed day and I will see you tomorrow.